South China Morning Post, 15th of November 2022, Rolls-Royce raises worries about the supply chain in China while pursuing long-term investments there. According to Rolls-Royce, there is increasing worry about the unpredictable nature of a Chinese supply chain that stringent coronavirus control procedures have hampered. Despite significant challenges and IP theft, the British aerospace company continues investing in China's crucial aviation industry. Julian MacCormac, the national manager for Rolls-Royce in Greater China, noted that earlier in the pandemic, from 2020-21, the aircraft engine manufacturer encountered relatively few disruptions in its supply chain in China because of its control of coronavirus outbreaks. On the sidelines of the Zhuhai air show last week, MacCormac told the Post, "And that gave us a lot of confidence in terms of how China can manage the epidemic and how we can rely on our suppliers in China for the future." But this year, that assurance has diminished. Under a zero-COVID policy that continues to require weeks-long lockdowns, mass screenings, strict border controls, and quarantines, coronavirus measures that previously reassured the corporation have persisted and intensified. MacCormac mentioned how lockdowns and disruptions impacted the aerospace company's suppliers and manufacturing facilities in Liaoning, Shanxi, Sichuan, and Jiangsu provinces. As a result of COVID control measures, he claimed, the scenario for 2022 has become more worrying. We've noticed more interruptions inside China. Lockdowns have been pretty erratic over the previous 12 months, and we have worked hard to mitigate that. It has not been easy in terms of logistics, shipping, and manufacturing. As a business, we want consistency and predictability in our operations in China, and we sincerely hope that things will improve in the coming months. While China has loosened some coronavirus containment restrictions, such as shortening quarantine periods for visitors from abroad, it has not provided a timeline for a zero-COVID departure strategy. As the demand for air travel rises globally, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, the world's airline industry trade group, stated earlier this month that China's recovery from the coronavirus pandemic continues to be an outlier. This is partly because China will not import vaccines. Chinese vaccines were barely effective against the original strain but are now utterly useless against the Omicron strain. China continues to be the outlier, as its pursuit of a zero-COVID strategy keeps borders mostly closed and causes demand for its home market to fluctuate wildly, with September falling 46.4% from the previous year. That stands in stark contrast to the remainder of Asia-Pacific, which, despite China's poor performance, showed a rise in international traffic of 464.8% compared to the same time last year, according to Willie Walsh, Director General of the IATA. However, Rolls-Royce has created a joint venture with China's top carrier Air China to open a new maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility in Beijing despite the country's delayed recovery in air travel demand. The Trent 700, Trent XWB-84, and Trent 1000 engines for wide-body passenger planes will be serviced by the joint venture of the Beijing Aero Engine Services Company. All three engine types are included in the fleet of Air China. Although official media in China reported in September that the project was valued at 2.61 billion yuan, $369 million, Rolls-Royce did not disclose the investment amount. The joint venture, according to MacCormac, is a long-term investment for the aerospace company and is one of the strategic responses to meet the growing demand for engine maintenance in the world over the next 10 to 15 years, much of which will come from China as the fleet of Chinese aircraft ages. He said to reduce the overseas transportation of engines for aircraft maintenance, repair, and overhaul activity to meet our sustainability goals and connect in-region growth within region capacity for customer closeness, as China gradually loses access to the global market. To that purpose, according to MacCormac, The company's joint venture with Air China in Beijing is being built to manage 250 store visits annually by the middle of the 2030s. Such visits frequently involve the necessity for engine maintenance. The Beijing Aero Engine Services Company's overall personnel count is anticipated to be 800 once it reaches capacity, he continued.